Christmas, or whatever you celebrate, the holiday season is upon us, and with the holiday season comes usually gift giving. Maybe you have a photographer or a YouTuber in your life and you want to get them a gift, but you're not really quite sure what would be useful to them. Or you're like me, you're a YouTuber or a photographer, and people like your grandparents are bugging you for list ideas and you have no idea what to put on there because you don't exactly want to put on the $3,000 camera that you actually really like. Because, I mean, the fact of the matter is, with photography and videography, a lot of the stuff is exponentially more expensive than anything you could receive in a gift. It's just a fact. However, today in this video, I want to go over 5 gift ideas for $50 or under. It's still kind of on the upper range of gift prices, etc., but I don't think you're gonna get much lower than this. Okay, so I hope that you guys find this list of mine useful, and leave a like down below if you do. Let's go. Number 1. This might come as a bit of a surprise to some of you because, well, these things can range massively in price, as with most things in the photography world, but a camera bag. You can actually get some pretty decent camera bags for around $30 to $50. Now, if you already have a camera bag, or the person you're buying for already has a camera bag, you could go for something more around the smaller kind of duffel style, I suppose you could call it. Something that would be good maybe for street photography, where they just don't want to carry around as much. I think this is a generally pretty good gift idea because it's not too expensive, but it'll find practical use. Especially if they're just using a regular backpack right now, like, it's night and day when you get a real camera bag. Moving on, number 2. Now we're ranging down the size quite a bit. Batteries, okay? They're not exciting. They're definitely not exciting. And something like this can go for a little over $50. It just depends on what the camera is that you're buying the battery for. But you could also go for something like a drone battery for whatever drone they fly, if they fly a drone. I know this is very little bang for your buck, right? It's just like little battery and like, yay, here's a battery, Merry Christmas or Happy Hanukkah. But these things are super practical, and you can never have too many of them. So it'll be used. That you can be absolutely sure of. Just make sure you get the right kind of battery, or if you're making a list, you write down that you want the LP17s or whatever the heck type of battery you're using. All right, that's number 2. Batteries. Now for number 3, we're gonna get a little bit more exciting, maybe something that you haven't thought of, especially if you're shooting time lapses or you're more of a photographer. Intervalometer, if you don't have one. 100% recommend getting one of these. This was the best $30 I have ever spent for photography, period. And videography too, because this is what you want to use if you want to get a high quality time lapse and you don't have a built-in intervalometer in your camera, which a lot of Canon shooters especially don't have a built-in intervalometer. I mean, I love Canon, but that's a bummer. Basically what this little device does is it tells your camera to shoot a set of photos on intervals, and you put all those photos together and you have a time lapse. Not only that, but since your camera shoots way higher quality photos than it does videos and way better quality formats like RAW, you can have a super high quality 4K RAW video file of a time lapse when you shoot with an intervalometer, whereas if you were just using the built-in time-lapse feature, well, you're not gonna get as good of an effect. This I actually purchased in tandem with an ND filter, which allows me to take cool time lapses with a little bit of motion blur. Now the ND filter is gonna be more expensive, like around $100. That'll be in my $100 episode of gift giving, but intervalometer, super useful. Can't believe I lived without one for the first like 2 years of photography. Get it as a gift or a gift to self, really. Now this next one's not really, it's not very exciting. It's another one of those things that's like, I cannot believe I lived without this, and it's super practical, but it took me forever to buy it. Sandbags. It's so stupid, but they're so useful. I'm using a sandbag on my light right now, and these things, I mean, there's just so many uses for them. They're super inexpensive. It is just one of those things that when you have them and you need them, it's fantastic. But if you need them and you don't have them, you're in deep trouble. And again, you might already have sandbags. You might know that whoever you're buying it for already has sandbags, but it's one of those things that you really just, you can't have too many of. So a super boring one, but very inexpensive one would be sandbags. Maybe you can throw in the sand too, if you really want to knock it out of the park. Now I promised you 5 things, and these past 4 haven't been very exciting. I grant you that, right? But hopefully they've kind of rung a bell, like, oh yeah, maybe I could get him that. But this 5th one isn't. It's not really any different, but it is just as important, if not more so important. SD cards. Focus. Thank you. Yeah, SD cards. This is a kind of a cruddy SD card. I'm using my good one in my camera right now, but SD cards are 100% just one of those things that, again, you just can't have too many of and will always get good use if you give them as a gift. Because there's nothing like worrying about, you know, if I give them this, is it just gonna sit on their shelf all the time and they're not gonna use it? Well, SD cards will be used, I guarantee it. It's just one of those things that are super practical, and if you're a photographer like me, you know this, but I wanna say this to the people who are buying things for photographers, like, we're generally very practical people. You might see an SD card or a sandbag and think like that's one of the worst gifts I could possibly give somebody, but trust me, they will appreciate it. I would appreciate it just because it's so practical. I mean, it saves us from making those really boring purchases by our own, and we can spend our thousands of dollars on a new drone to fly it a couple times, right? So that being said, that is my top 5 things for a photographer or YouTuber for Christmas here in 2020. If you're looking for things under $100, I'm gonna have that up soon. If it's already up, it'll be linked after the video. Anyway, I've taken up enough of your holiday time. Go do your stuff, find the best deals, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.